Who are going to be the big winners in the AI revolution? I want you to think about it a little differently. I want you to think about it that we're not building the AI revolution, we're building a house. Who makes the money when you build a house? Well, it depends on what stage you are in the building process and then the living in the house process. Initially, when you build a house, the big winner is the lumber company and maybe the brick company and maybe the roofing company. And then that's followed by the electricians, the plumbers, maybe even the people who put the sod in your yard or lay the concrete in your driveway. So there are people that make that house possible. But then once the house is built, the lumber company doesn't make any more money unless you build an addition or add a deck or do some remodeling on the house. So I think that analogy applies to that of the digital revolution as it was built, and now again on the AI revolution as it is being built. You're starting from scratch. And the lumber company right now is that of NVIDIA. They are providing all the chips, the GPUs, that are going to make AI available to you and I. But sitting in the background are the utility companies and the bank. And let me explain that. Once the house is built, who makes the money? Well, it's the gas company, the electric company, the water company, the insurance company. Now, what's different in all of those cases is they get to change their price every year as you use your house. I mean, let's look at it from a homeowner's point of view. Has our cost of insurance, protection of our house from fire and damage and tornadoes, has that gone up? You bet it has. That same thing is going to happen in the AI industry. And let's look at the digital revolution. Who made it possible? Well, that was Cisco, and it was the people who laid the lines across the ocean and created all that. But Cisco then has stepped aside. We even see that in Intel. Intel was a big money maker, but then they didn't keep up with the changes that were occurring. So who are going to be the big winners of the AI revolution? Well, it's the same people that are the big winners of the digital revolution, and that is Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Apple, and I think Tesla is going to come into the equation as well, because what they do, they become the utilities. They become the electric company that says, here is your AI package. It's going to buy all your groceries. It's going to book your cruises and your airline flights. It's going to be your concierge. And it's free. And that's like ChatGPT. It started free, and then it went up to $20 a month. And that's happening also on the Google side. So, but I can guarantee you 10 years from now, you won't be able to get it for $19.95. They're going to raise the price, just like the utility companies have. Your water costs more than it does, your electricity costs more than it did, and your insurance costs more. So those are the big winners. So when you're putting together your portfolio, you want them in there because they're cheap. They're as cheap as they're ever going to be. Also recognize these are the people who are buying all the lumber and the bricks. And when I say lumber and bricks, I'm talking about NVIDIA and the data centers. They're the people who are funding that. And so they're going to, their big payoff will be from probably 3 years and beyond. And that's exactly what happened in the digital revolution. If you had invested in 2004 in Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, and you would put that in a Roth IRA, let's just use that as an example, and you'd put $6,000 evenly distributed amongst those four companies in 2004, today, in your Roth IRA, you'd have over $4 million. Now, they weren't the big payoffs in the first 3 years. That was Cisco and the people who were laying the bricks and putting the lumber. But they have to be in your portfolio. So now the trick is to find out who, beyond the lumber company, which is NVIDIA, who are the people who are going to make it possible for Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Apple to put them in a position to bill us for the rest of our lives. Well, that's where you have to dig. That's where you have to understand this infrastructure, and that's what I have done. I've gotten it up to 50 companies now that are integral parts of this infrastructure that's being built. And they are the ones who are going to give you the exponential growth as we move forward. One of them that you probably don't know about is IREN, IREN. It's projected to have growth in the next 3 years, averaging 153%. That's crazy. But they are building the data centers, and they're building it through a manipulation of Bitcoin to build what we believe is going to be the largest data centers in the world down in Texas. But once that data center's built, they'll have revenue, but they aren't going to grow at 153%. Then there's a company called Skywater Technology. Or Skywater. It's a foundry. A foundry is like a Taiwan Semiconductor, and the military needs these chips that are going to go into their fighter jets and their submarines and their aircraft carriers and their drones, but they don't want them made in Taiwan. Why don't they want them made in Taiwan? Well, do you remember what happened to the people over in not in Afghanistan with their pagers blew up? You remember that? How did that happen? Well, I'll bet that Israel went to whoever was making those pagers and said, here, plant a little device in there so that we can blow them up when we want to. Well, that's what they did. So with that in mind, could it be possible that China would infiltrate Taiwan Semiconductor and put something in the semiconductors that are going in the battleships and the jets? Could that happen? Hell yes, it could happen. So what do you do about it? You finance a foundry here in the United States that you trust, and you give them all the business from the Department of Defense, and they grow until someone else replaces them. And that might be Intel, and it might not be Intel. Intel has some tremendous growth possibility if they get their shit together. But that's not guaranteed. They've proven that to us. So what we need to do as investors is identify these companies that are going to empower Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, Apple, and Tesla for the long term. But we got to deal with the next 3 years first. And that's what I'm doing. And I'm creating this. It's not a cheat sheet. It's an information sheet. It backs up my cheat sheet. My cheat sheet gives you everything you need to make a good financial decision if you understand the financial metrics of a company and how they work and how they make business. And my tribe has said, Kerry, that's wonderful, but it's damn difficult to understand. Can't you dumb it down so that we can just make comparisons and say, okay, if these are the 50 companies that are going to be the main players in delivering us AI, which one is number one? Which one is number 50? Okay? And give me some explanation. And what I use is, what is their growth in earnings per share going to be over the next 3 years? And what is their PE ratio? And what is their PEG ratio? And what is a PE ratio? And what is a PEG ratio? And I put podcasts to give you an explanation of what a PE, what a PEG ratio is, so that you can learn that. With that, you got the basics. And then what I do is I project based on the growth of their earnings over the next 3 years relative to their current price. If their price grows in accordance with their earnings per share growth, what's their price going to be on January the 1st of 2028? And that's all on this sheet here that I'm showing you. Now, what you see on the far right is a podcast that explains to you exactly what this company does and how it fits into this overall ecosystem. So with that, I feel I can give you all the information you need to understand the basic financials. What's a PE? What's a PEG? How do they relate to their earnings growth? And then what do they do? What does Skywater Technologies do? What does Applied Digital do? And you can come to that, and I update it every Sunday, because what will change is the numbers. Because when they do an earnings call, I will analyze that earnings call, put it into the podcast, and that will change the numbers. So that's how I want to help you learn to invest. That's my goal. I want to teach the world how to invest, and I can do it by spending. And don't get picky about what I spend. I spend somewhere between $22,000 and $25,000 a month to gather all this data and present it to you. And somebody said, well, which is it, 23 or 25? Damn, you've never run a business, have you? The numbers change. Okay, so give me a little slack here. Okay, so that's what I give you. And do I charge you $20,000 a month for it? No. We pool this so that we together can pay that bill at the rate of $19.95 a year, or 99, whatever. But I don't want you to trust me. You don't know me, so don't trust me. So here's what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to give it to you for 14 days for free. It's a sign up. Yeah, you'll give me your credit card, but at the end of 14 days, if you don't want it, you just come in and cancel, and you're home free. Okay? Free. That's the key word. Free. All right. That's what I want to do. Why do I want to do this? Because there are 10% of the people in the world who make all the money off of Wall Street. That's the plain and simple truth. You are playing poker against the best poker players in the world. They're called Wall Street. And they're kicking your ass and taking your money because you don't know how to read a financial statement. You do not know how to read a balance sheet. You do not know how to recognize a growth opportunity when you see it. If you see it. But I do. That's what I've done. I'm a certified financial advisor. I've got 3 designations. I got a PhD in finance, and then I'm becoming an analyst, because I go through and I look at their financial statement and I know what the hell I'm looking at. So I know if a company is going to grow, or now I don't know if it's cooking its books. I don't know that. I'll plead. If you're going to screw me, you're going to screw me, but you'll only screw me once. All right? Okay. That's what I offer you. If you're interested, go to bestofusinvestors.com. Click on the 14-day trial. That's in the description, and give me a shot. Why do you want to give me a shot? Because I can make you wealthy. Talk to you again. I don't know. I've got a very busy week this week. I've got some issues I've got to take care of. But come for the next 14 days, see if this doesn't work for you. I'll be back.